Look at that. They
Eh,
pick up SB. They get Shadow Demon versus both Pugna and SB. A terrible matchup. Of course, you have to make your choice whether or not you're going to purge one or the other until you get Ags, of course, and then you get to purge everyone. But at the same time, I do wonder what was the choice here. Why they go for the Spirit Breaker in this situation. You want heroes that can relocate, that can dislocate heroes like both the CK and the Viper. The more stuns those illusions have to play against, of course, the less damage you're actually able to manage. Not to mention, Viper is a really easy hero to punish if you are just a little too far up in the lane. It's where maybe that global rotation can feel a little bit scarier. But if they're picking this SB in a very similar position to where they've picked up the Dawnbreaker in the past, I don't know. I feel like a Dawnbreaker might have been better, but it's where I do wonder if maybe it's because of their draft position. They feel like they just need another stun, but this is not as confident as I was expecting to see from Infamous here. Meanwhile, DogChamp, not the strongest next choices in their hero. I think the Shadow Demon is great. Clockwork is going to need to prove himself a little bit more, but in the direct counter, Clockwork is a miserable matchup for that Spirit Breaker to deal with. If he's on top of you, you simply can't play Dota.
interesting choices really out from both sides now, and with that Clockwork pickup, we can now safely assume that the Viper is going into a core role, whether it's the 2 or the 3, maybe still remains to be seen, but they will run it in that core position. Meanwhile, for Infamous, still scratching our heads a little bit, maybe not position-wise, but strategy-wise, because now that you've taken the Spirit Breaker, you have to draft the rest of the lineup in a way that can similarly push the tempo. You don't take the Spirit Breaker and then play passively, and it's not a bad choice. The Nature's Prophet is going to give you someone that can immediately follow up if the Spirit Breaker does get to make a move, so I don't know. It feels like Infamous want to be aggressive. I'm just not sure how well it's going to work out for them.
The NP is certainly a great choice, especially versus the Viper. Now you have a big question mark in DogChamp's mind. Do we now balance out our lanes? I think they pick up the Clockwork because they can run the Viper clock, and that's a pretty solid lane if they want to do that with speed. At the same time, then you just do Chaos Knight Shadow Demon. That's also an incredibly strong lane. They solved that issue that they might have had, but it's where this NP is not really going to be threatened by the Viper in the same way I think a more typical carry could have been. And I think that's exactly why they go for it. DogChamp do have the flexibility, though. If they need to, they can shift things around a little bit. But at the same time, do you want to make this into your mid hero? Do you want this Viper to be in Rioya's hands? Do you want to look for a carry instead? And unfortunately, DogChamp don't have the luxury of last pick here. I feel like that with this draft, they would have loved something like that, but they are going to have to make a call. And the choice right now does seem like their mid laner. It does seem like this is going to be a Speed Viper and a Stonebank CK, but at the same time, I wonder if this NP might be a little bit too difficult to deal with because that is kind of a counter pick in the lane. It's going to make this Viper no longer seem like that lane dominator. Instead, he's going to be forced to just get okay trades, and then the NP TPs back to base, he TPs back to lane, and then all that mana you outputted isn't going to amount to very much.
Interesting final ban there from Infamous, deviating a little bit. They take the Kunk out first. That's maybe that sort of hybrid multi-positional character, and then the Spectre ban is just straight up respect to Stonebank. We saw what he could do with that Spectre previously, so yeah.
Okay, they do swap it, but now you wonder about the mid lane. That's why they ban out the Lina and the Puck. It was to cover the Viper mid if they did make this shift, and this is certainly going to make Speed's lane feel a lot better, especially versus Spirit Breaker. This Pit Lord is honestly a fantastic pick, but at the same time, what will Alone work you with? What does Alone choose to be his tool of choice, to be honest? Could see possibly the Invoker come out from him. Could see trying to think of other heroes. Don't think we're going to see a Spirit. We don't want to see him get too hard countered by this Viper, but anything that is going to allow him to survive is going to be a good choice. And at the same time, you want another dive hero. You want someone to actually capitalize off this global presence that you do have. So I feel like something mobile is going to be the easy choice here. I think that's where that Puck ban really is highlighted as the best one DogChamp could have gone for.
Puck being taken away and the fact that you don't really want to go all in on the Spirit really puts him in a solid spot, but I don't know. You mentioned the Invoker. That wouldn't be a bad choice. You've got a lot of setup if your Invoker just wants to keep farming and maybe just contribute some spells from afar, right? You've got the Arena Spear Stun, you've got the Sprout from the Prophet, you've got the Spirit Breaker with the sort of charge into ult. You kind of have to aim a little bit differently on that one because there is a little bit of a knockback, but still feels like Alone on an Invoker could contribute damage without putting himself directly in the line of fire.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think.
Oh,
It is. They pick TA into all of this, and then they swap things up, and now the game of cat
oh
and mouse
no.
is actually going to be played here. The NP is going to chase around the Viper, and then Parker is going to be happy because he's going to anchor whatever lane he wants to. And now DogChamp are the ones scrambling. What are we going to do here, boys? Are we going to lock in speed on the Viper and then we're going to play our mid pit ward, which is certainly viable, but at the same time, this is going to be a song and dance. We are going to see these players chase each other around the map because they have to. These are two unlaneable matchups that you want for either side that they can't afford to really drop the ball on. I mean, it is Parker's best hero as well. Into Viper, you were always going to pose that question, but they feel like they can make the movements on the map with Infamous, and they do have the NP. So at the end of the day, one more TP, is it going to be enough to get the lane setup you want? I'm not entirely sure, but that's where DogChamp, they need to be so preemptive here. We're probably going to see both teams smoke out. Any vision, any wind of where these heroes are laning is going to be so crucial because it is a game now of where do we get our lanes? How happy are we going to be?
One pick just sort of puts this whole draft on its head there on the at the end of it for Infamous. So, well, as you said, game of cat and mouse. Who's going to sort of make those moves? Who's going to be able to make life more comfortable for their core heroes here? But I don't know. This feels like Infamous have really put themselves in a stronger position considering we were looking at the Spirit Breaker halfway through their draft, right? Now, Michael on that Spirit Breaker, it really doesn't feel like it's that much of an issue. Still not sure what it's going to contribute, but some of those questions get pushed to the side because of what they were able to get for Parker and alone.
Yeah, and really the big winners of this game, if there is going to be that crazy creep shenanigans where we're going to see them running around on the waves, it's really going to be Stonebank and Oscar. They're the lane that doesn't need to move. They're probably just going to be sitting versus each other. But could you really ask for two better heroes to sit versus each other? Oscar wants a fast level 6. He doesn't want to be with anybody. He just wants his solo XP. Stonebank wants his level 12 before he really makes any movement on the map, as carry Chaos Knights typically want to do. So at the end of the day, I think both teams are going to be really happy, but that is where the other issue of what are we doing with everybody else is going to kind of come into play here. And you do feel like Infamous, they are more global. They have the NP. They don't need to stay in any laning situation that they don't want to. It is just going to be a matter. And Speed is set up to go to the mid lane, so we'll see. They're trying to trip them up right now in DogChamp with their hero choices on the players. They're not going to expect Rioya to be an offlaner in this game, but we'll see if the player hero choice is going to be their good feint. And it looks like so far it is going to work. Rioya is very high up here, nestled in the trees, but that's where Infamous might be the first ones to break the silence. They might be the ones to make that first rotation, and then will that be enough for them to come out ahead in these extremely early laning stages?
Gonna show on anyone else right now, so just trying to keep this as secret as they possibly can. Meanwhile, be a fight for the rune. B9's gonna try to get in here. Actually pop the battery assault as well, so he really was committed to grab that rune and got it. It's all gonna work out well for him. That's 3 of the 4 over to DogChamp, so they get a slight advantage to start off this laning stage. Nothing massive, but doesn't really cost them all that much in the way of effort. They didn't even need to reveal the lane swap either, so they still have that card up their sleeve, and now, well, Alone is ready to go, but this is not who he thought was going to be here.
Yeah, they're really banking on Speed being in the mid lane, being that kind of game changer where they might not know what's going on here. But Parker's walking, and here we go. The game is afoot. Parker has an interesting choice to make, though. Does he turn around and stay for the first two waves, or does he decide this is going to be too much? He is walking over down the wave, but this is a scary situation to be in, especially for him, but you can't really afford to miss out on XP. It's where you could very likely just get starved of any levels if you do try to make that adjustment too early.
Yeah, if they're going to make a lane swap on the Infamous side, it feels like it just has to be done via TP at this point rather than walking, so Parker's going to kind of just have to suck it up for a little while, and like you said, can't really afford to leave any extra experience on the table. Though, he is trying to be as annoying as possible with this Nether Blast, and it is doing a solid job of sort of pushing Ryoya back, so at least for now, Parker has a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if they can keep this Viper on the back foot, And the supports with lane swapping always end up being super over leveled. And that's exactly what you want from A. That is exactly where A likes to play here in B9. Oh, running into a creep of his battery assault is not what you want to do. But A also just hit 5, but that's where bottom lane, it's CK again. I feel like he's gotten the most first bloods in the tournament just because of how stupid that spell is.
Jumps straight in onto Oscar, and Oscar actually, he hadn't hit level 2 yet, so DogChamp just had that little advantage getting there first, and they're able to find the kill. Over on the other side, though, B9 does end up getting run down. Parker will take him out. The problem is Parker now has to get away from Ryoya, and... okay, that was not nearly as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Ryoya can only hit him once. Parker falls back. That salve is saved. No, it's not.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That poison attack just works a little bit too fast, and now run away from the clockwork. And is this enough? Doesn't feel like it should be, but B9 also didn't TP to the wave with any regen, and yeah, meets on the creep wave, and they actually turn onto Ryoya with Alone. Oh my goodness, this game is ridiculous already.
Well, there's the trade-off. Alone is now here. He doesn't have points in the Sprout just yet, because, well, he was mid. Not really sure he ever foresaw a need for it, but hey, the rotation gets him the kill, and this is the other thing about the rotation that DogChamp made, or the lane swap.
But now, wait a second. They TP'd first. Yeah, Parker's gonna get trailed. They did not do this properly, actually. As Parker actually gets a bottle delivered, which is kind of nifty, but they killed the Viper, which is huge because he has to TP out to a wave. But because Alone already committed himself top, instead of waiting for the Viper to TP top and then setting the TA mid, it feels like they made this move preemptively because now Speed gets to walk, and even though Parker gets to take over mid with the bottle, you're playing versus a level 3.5 Viper in a solo lane now versus the Viper. I don't know if Parker's going to be too happy with this setup now.
And the point that kind of no longer applies now that I was going to make before was Alone was able to TP for a rotation. That's something that Speed can't really do on the Underlord on the other side of things, but because of the potential mishandling of that lane swap, that never really became a factor. He's just able to make his way up top, and the swap goes exactly the way that they sort of wanted it to. So, I don't know. Missed opportunity perhaps for Infamous, but just going to have to deal with it once again, but that's not ideal by any means.
It does mean that they get maybe a little bit more now. As I'm watching bottom, hey, Yarn and Michael are playing the dangerous game here. And, Michael's got a lot of stick charges. He's got 2 stick. He's got an enchanted mango. In fact, he could pop the mango and charge if he really needs to, but it's where he's got this ward this entire time. The tower will kill him, though. Okay. Might even want to just die to the tower, to be honest, and yeah, doesn't get a choice in the matter. Bullet mid.
Parker dies to the knockback from level 1 cogs. That's the kind of game this is.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It's like what? Like 25? Basically.
The
end of the day, this is very unfortunate for the TA. They had it too. I don't know. I'm really kind of upset for them, which I guess I've no right being. But at the same time, you know, seeing how Parker finds his way back into this game is going to be a massive aspect of Infamous's lineup, because at the end of the day, he will be fairly comfortable farming up, but it's just the lead that the side lane cores are able to get on both the CK and the pit ward, while Viper just kind of doesn't have a laning opponent. It's a worrying sign for sure.
In the meantime, down in the bottom lane, Oscar got himself into a little bit of trouble. Michael is forced to charge in to try and help him, and might get Yarn here. That's a very timely bash. That's going to help them set up the kill, and while that's going down, there is an engagement mid as well. Ryoya goes all in for the kill onto Parker. It's going to cost him his life, but that's another death for the TA. Now Stonebank, well, able to take Oscar down bot, so I was going to say at least it's a 2-for-1 in Infamous's favor. That's not even the case anymore, and ET, you said you're interested to see how Parker's going to sort of climb back into this game. It's going to be a very steep climb for him now.
Yeah, and well, we've seen Parker with a few early game deaths here and there, and you know, at the end of the day, we guys talking about how it doesn't matter for this player, but at the same time, because of how solid these lanes have been, we're not seeing the stacks, we're not seeing Michael really make the space. It's a detriment of having a melee 4 position where you don't get to make those stack rotations, you don't really get to play it all on the map all too much here, and the SB is just not equipped for that play style. it does feel like he is kind of axed right now. He is going to have to take a good 5-10 minutes to just reassess what he's actually able to do on the map, and then hope he doesn't get caught out by rotations by the Viper and the Clockwork, because they are just a perfect counter combo to him. And you look at the levels across the board, everybody is such a high level in this game. The lanes are just evaporating. Everybody is able to make these moves so easily.
Sort of quickly transitioning into that sort of skirmishy stage after the lanes are kind of done, but see who gets the better of it. Alone, at least, is farming up very well on the Infamous side. So Parker may be struggling, Oscar may be experiencing some pressure as well, but you are going to have that Nature's Prophet with his global presence who can maybe make something happen for the Infamous lineup to try and create extra space.
Yeah, that would be your one hope here, and they do need to bring some heroes over into the mid lane. Cart's being very annoying, and they're going to go into him, but no boots. He just gets Viper struck.
B9,
just kill Parker?
That's a bit of an awkward cog trap, and they do get Parker, as you say, so they're going to be all right with that one, and going to be even more all right with the fact that they don't actually lose the Clockwork. Whereas Michael is going to get run down, and now at this point alone, you're not the fastest hero in the world, but still no points up in the Pit of Malice, so they don't have the root. But once again, yeah, if they can't win the fight on DogChamp, they're going to make sure that they at least kill the Templar Assassin.
Yeah, B9 is just everywhere that Parker is. He's just following him across the map and just making it a miserable time. But at the very least, A is level 6. The Pugna anchoring the empty lane that Speed abandoned to make that rotation. Now maybe your level 6 Pugna 8 minutes into the game is actually able to make some plays here, as there's an arena bottom and free kill onto Stonebank. It's a good rotation. It's a great rotation, but they got to keep doing that. They can't let Stonebank just run away with this one. Up until that point, he really was.
TP in from P9. He's got the hook shot there onto Michael. And, well, I don't think Michael gets out of this one. He's going to try to run away, but Battery Assault was on him. Yarn's the one to get the kill. However, Infamous really just using Michael as a distraction so they could take the tier 1 tower.
Man, how many times do you see a game where B9 is level 6 8 minutes to a game? It really is startling how great of a time both of these 5 positions are having, because they are really your typical sacrificial 5, and they're both just kind of killing it right now. No waiting for the tome, you know. That's Yaren's business. That's what we're going to give over to the SB, you know. Those guys are the ones really on the back foot this game. And I think that's going to be the name of the game. What are we actually able to do with our incredibly farmed 5s? We've already seen the Clockwork make his play, but how can you counter it out? What can you do with A? Because I do not feel like A could just kind of sit idly by and let his map just kind of get taken over. Because at the end of the day, we still do have a TA that needs to recover. A TA who is not getting the full jungle either. It's getting eaten half by the Nature's Prophet. And we'll see, maybe Alone, or maybe A actually gets a kill top, unfortunately. Yep, well, passivity in the lanes not favoring Infamous.
Stay stagnant, they get in trouble as the Wrath of Nature does fly through from Alone, and he's going to try and TP himself down bot, but this is not the real Stonebank, and unfortunately they don't find that out until it's a little too late. 3 heroes bot, not much to be gained. At least Alone can now farm outside of his own half of the map, which should free up a little bit more space for Parker, and the recovery here for the TA is not going too poorly, really. He's only a couple hundred behind top net worth hero on the DogChamp side of things, so that gap is sort of narrowing a little bit, and the sooner you can get Parker involved in any significant capacity, the better Infamous are going to feel.
Yeah, and you do wonder now, 10-minute carts are up. Where are we able to actually push here? A is still anchoring down top lane, being very obnoxious. Got the max nether blast, but yeah, mid. This would be a huge kill in the arena. Spear
Nice.
back, easy.
Oh, they're going to leave it
easy
for
kill.
Parker, too. Very
Super
nice. Okay, well, starting to feel Michael's presence maybe a little bit more here after some struggles in the start. He is still struggling, 2-3-3, but if you can make plays like that, if you can get Oscar involved, Oscar now working his way towards the Blink Dagger is B9 able to take down A in the top lane, but mid, there's still kind of an attempt being made here, but I don't know if they can actually kill Oscar. He is going to get hit up by that Purge, but with Michael charging in, that is going to kind of be the end of that fight. While all that was going down, Alone did go for the kill on to B9. He was able to get it. The problem is Speed was there to back his teammate up and make the trade.
Yeah, and not a good trade, because now Speed with 134 damage from the Atrophy is just beating into your tower, and Well, Michael's up here now, but who else do you bring? You need someone. It feels like even if they bring the Mars over, they might need someone else here. This is a lot of HP, but I think with that bash, might barely be enough here. Just the two of them, and with no connection from the rest of DogChamp, should be pretty easy. Yeah, should get him. Gives it to Alone as well with the Nature's Wrath. Pretty nice.
Oscar got a little bit low, but hey, that's what A is for. Just gonna force life into him. Meanwhile, Alone, not a real TP. Faked it out mid, thought for a second he was actually jumping in, but is continuously faking this out, trying to find the rune, if nothing else. But that rune is almost certainly going to be controlled by DogChamp, and Ryoyo with a bottled regen is going to be kind of significant, because that means in the next fight he can kind of go all out, spend every last bit of his mana going after one kill, probably Parker, if the TA does show up, and then back out and reset.
Yeah, we do have to see from Infamous, we're getting an Ags first on Parker, which is pretty funny, but that will allow him to recover, if anything. Not to mention, pretty well locked down on DogChamp. I feel like the escapes should work more often than they fail, but that's where we're looking at bottom. It's the smoke. They don't have hook for 10 seconds, though, and even though this is a smoke on the Atos, I think they might still got him. Yeah, I think he's just struggled too much. There you go.
Atos saves the day. Not sure they would have found it without it. Meanwhile, Michael is unable to get that kill onto Yaren. Dangerously close, but not quite there. So, okay. First bit of pressure that we're sort of seeing onto the Nature's Prophet. Alone, however, does now have that Orchid up and running, so that death is unfortunate for him, but it's not going to stop him from trying to find those aggressive plays once he's back up.
Yeah, no, he's going to immediately go in. What they want to do is they want to get another kill onto Ryoya. If they kill this Viper, then they have to look at speed when it comes to defending this mid tower, but if they break open the mid, all this pressure is just going to evaporate. And if they can't get the pressure on the mid tower or kill Ryoya, then they have to drag them away from the tower in some way, in some fashion. As, oh yeah.
That
no
is
TP
the
though.
Absolute maximum range of the spear, because B9 hooked to the creep wave and then started the TP. And the Mars was able to cancel it at the absolute last second, so...
But space made?
Yeah.
Lost the mid tower during all that.
Bloody 9. Yeah, he knows what he's doing, right? Even if he gets taken down there, his teammates are able to find something, but... Infamous are looking for a response. Oscar doesn't quite have the BKB to him just yet, even though he can afford it, but they are still going to try. They are on to speed. This is not a great look for your Underlord. He is just going to get taken down, but... Oh. At least Infamous still have to commit significant resources for these kills, if you're looking at it from the DogChamp perspective, so that death is unfortunate, but it buys time for the rest of your line.
Yep, everybody gets to walk away, and during all of this, Parker surges to the top of the network. He's been getting 2 lanes to farm. Now he's going to farm even further with this Aghanim Scepter. This isn't your typical TA that just farms the Deso, farms the Dragonlance, then looks for a new team fight. Parker's certainly playing a lot slower here, but in doing so, I'm excited to see what GPM's going to be here. This is a master TA at work with an Aghanim Scepter pre-15 minutes with effectively unlimited health and mana. All that can stop him is really dying, and do they want this fight here? The Fiend's Gate's on top of him. They're going for it.
They actually just TP'd Michael out first, so he's not even going to die. They go directly onto Ryoyo for the kill, and now Speed, he would like to leave now, back through the Fiend's Gate, and he is able to get himself away, but Yaren is in some trouble. Since Michael was able to TP away, he sort of healed up back in the base, and now he is charging. So if Infamous want to continue the chase, don't want to necessarily give up the game too early. Now Michael comes in, the charge connects, but look at all the DogChamp heroes here. They were ready for this exact push in, and they're able to take down both of the supports there. So it's an interesting play for Michael. The problem is it takes a little too long to develop, and trap is sprung the other way.
Yeah, just playing to the pit ward. Again, it's so hard to track where he is after the Fiend's Gate. He just TP's mid and then gets to walk back into the fight, but they killed Ryoya. They got the Viper at the end of the day there. They've done such a good job of feeling that global presence. They can really flood a large amount of heroes. I mean, the TA is now a global hero, but it's where the relative strength of both the Pit Ward and the Chaos Knight. And these are big strength heroes running in, diving your tier 2s. Any Chaos Bolt, as we usually say, should lead to a kill. And especially on Infamous' side, not looking at BKBs pretty much anywhere. They're going to queue him up in a second, but without that same timing, DogChamp have a much larger window to play in.
I do want to ask you something about Parker at this point. Right now, it looks like he's just going for the Dragonlance again as... Oh, hold on. Ryoya. Gotta get jumped in on. TP is coming in from Stonebank, but by the time he arrives, Ryoya should be taken down. Infamous are just going to be able to walk away from this one. They back everybody out, and sort of going back to the question, ET, if you're Parker, is it just... you had to go for an Aghanim Scepter first, but now you just go back to what the build would have been before, or do you think he sort of changes up further timings in terms of what items he looks for?
You gotta get a Deso, right? It's the reason your hero exists as a bottom lane, actually. There's another fight interrupting us. The Clockwork is just so dead, though. There's nothing you can do. But it's an age-old counter, actually, is this TA versus the Clockwork. You get the Psyblade spill. You do so much damage on those cogs. Anytime this Clockwork is going in, you're going to be countered. But you also look across the board for Infamous. Effectively, they're going to have 3 Force Staffs. They're building ones up on both the SB and the Pugna. And then after your Dragonlance, well, you know Parker's going to look at the Hurricane Pike. The real question is whether Parker gets his BKB after the Deso, or if we see him go for another defensive item. Usually when he gets the Ags, he feels confident enough that that is his defensive item, but I feel like that might be a risk you don't want to play versus. I also don't see how they play versus Pit Ward without that BKB. I feel like the Pit of Malice might be a little bit too dangerous to go against. We're not going to see Infamous get Roche anytime soon, though, which is one thing DogChamp can kind of count on here, but I feel like the name of the game for DogChamp should just be get BKBs, get your next batch of items here, run at your opponents. They can do Roche very easily with their heroes right now. Maybe if they get a few more levels, especially on Stonebank, you could see them go for that play, but I think they're the ones that really need to carry this momentum in the mid game. Otherwise, Infamous have very expensive items they're working towards, but again, once you get these BKBs, half of your lineup is just axed off on the DogChamp side.
Yeah, the idea of getting smaller items is that you get them faster, easier, and then do things with them. If they don't do that, then you're just giving your opponents a lot of time to sort of build up. Ryoya, though, now has the Hurricane Pike. There's a Blink Dagger up on Stonebank, so time to go for them as B9 is caught out here. Beanscape's coming in, however, so the reinforcements will arrive not in time to protect, but maybe a vengeance sort of play here. But Speed is the only one who's coming. A
is going.
Don't not even think about it. But that really sucks for the side of DogChamp, because that's a long cooldown for Fiend's Gate. So Speed uses it there, doesn't get to actually do anything with it. They still lose the tower, they still lose their Clockwork. And now, if you're Infamous, since you scouted it out that they had thrown that Fiend's Gate down, you don't have to worry for about a minute and a half now.
Yeah, you can kind of re-establish yourself across the map, and I think the reason that we see Ryoya go for this Hurricane Pike is before this item, anywhere he shows on the map, it's just a sprout into a death, basically, and it is going to become a problem once we talk about the level 20 talent, once we talk about the Ag Shard. Cutting trees is just not simply enough, also often versus the Nature's Prophet, and it's a big timing they have to be scared of. Unfortunately, though, because he goes for the Hurricane Pike, and Hurricane Pike's not the most expensive item in the world, but with how little farm priority he's getting, this BKB to follow it up is not coming soon, and in the meantime, a lot of heroes, I feel like, are going to die in tow, and a lot of deaths that are going to result to your opponents farming a lot here. And already, DogChamp, they've got the Pit Ward, but when it comes to wave clear, I'm worried that Speed might be overloaded. I feel like he might be forced to really take the brunt force, and in doing so, is going to take a lot of farm away from the Viper, and I don't know if you're going to be ready for that. It's where Infamous, they are more robust. They're getting more items, and starkly, you look at Oscar, who is right there net worth-wise, he is almost going to be at that BKB, just barely needs one more component, and then suddenly you're going to have a battle-ready hero, something the Viper is not going to be just nearly as fast. He's not going to be ready for that fight.
Just the nature of the hero picks, right? Because their net worth is pretty much even, but the Mars is on the cusp of being entirely ready to go, whereas the Viper still feels like he needs a little bit more to work with. So Infamous have an opportunity here, and on top of all of this, checking back in on Parker, he's top in the net worth. He has surpassed Stonebank, and they're actually going to look for a fight here. They want to go in onto the Clockwork. They're not able to take him down initially, but B9 really has nowhere to go. He used the hook to get away from the initial gank, so Could not get himself away. No TP up for another 20 at the time, so Infamous continue to find the pickoffs, and now with Parker being involved as well, this is not just alone going for these split push plays. You'll have the TA with the armor reduction and the damage, so those objectives are really in danger of falling if you're DogChamp. As Stonebank, okay, a little bit of a freebie there. He takes down A, but can't really do much more than that.
Yeah, what has it been? 6 kills in a row for Infamous, and the scary part about this TA Ags being really online as fast as it has been, look across the map. He has 13 active traps right now. He always has one in the Ancient Camp, in the triangle, so he gets to make this kill play top, gets the kill, and then gets to farm the triangle back again. It's just not fair, and even though they get Oscar bottom, I feel like DogChamp need to get a little bit trickier. I'd love to see them push into the triangle, maybe get a deep ward just so you know when the TA makes that return play, because I am genuinely scared of this split push coming out right now. They don't have a great answer to it. The answer is speed, TPing back, and being that hero. I almost wish Ryoya would change his build-up and go for the Boots of Travel before the BKB, just so they don't have to worry about that aspect of Infamous, but it's also where the BKB is so crucial for him. There's no good choice to make.
Damn, there's a bit of good news, though. Yaren's got himself an Aghanim Scepter already, so is a rather sizable increase in terms of what he can do. B9, though, still struggling. He's going to get taken down, but now Stonebank is the one who needs to be careful. Phantasm popped defensively alone is going to join the fight. They're trying to take this engagement. B9 buying back quickly, trying to group up with his teammates. Looks like the immediate sort of Beans Gate in from speed and the buyback from the Clockwork is enough to sort of dissuade Infamous from going any further forward.
But then you retreat. DogChamp are the ones that need to slowly set up again. 3 lanes are now occupied by Infamous heroes, just from that one poke play. That resulted in a buyback and a kill, and you got nothing if you're DogChamp. It's very troublesome. They just don't have an objective to force right now, and I thought the objective they could force was Roche 5 minutes prior, where they were really a lot scarier here. It's got to be a smoke. It's got to be a big rotation here.
Oh.
They're doing some shenanigans here top, but Stonebank.
This is a little risky. His reinforcements are coming. Not very quickly, but they're on their way.
And then
it
they
looks like
out. They might lose Michael, but
yeah. Okay. I mean, they get a kill. That's nice, but the problem is, as you mentioned before, you find that kill, but all the other lanes are pushing. All the other sections of the map are being farmed. Alone actually didn't TP down bot, but he could in just a moment. But now DogChamp are going to try to force the issue with the Roche attempt.
Yep. And there was a trap. They did finally deward it here. Watch the arena, though. Nice disruption. BKB?
Doesn't have it yet.
Nope.
Well, that's awkward. Oscar gets taken down. B9 will be picked off as well. Actually, alone. He pops his BKB and jumps into the fight, but there's just too much physical damage. He thought he was going to have backup, perhaps, but he thought very incorrectly there, as he does get taken down. The problem is, if you're DogChamp, your health is not in a great spot to immediately just sort of force it down into the pit and finish things off. So that is going to allow Infamous maybe a little bit of time to regroup and look and consider whether they want to go back in.
Oh, the Fiend's Gate for the fountain reset. This is very wise from DogChamp. Gonna get all of their HP back. The numbers might be a little bit too high. After they come back, they're all channeling back towards that Roche pit. I think they might have it in A. Ooh, what a rift. Got him on the Force Staff, and now this should be Roche. I think Infamous, considering how low the heroes were on DogChamp, I can see why they make that jump, but they jump, what, 600 gold too soon for Oscar. If he has a BKB, he does not die like that. He gets to tank in there with the NP. I don't think Alone dies as soon if the Mars is still stuck in that fight, sticking around with his teammate, but because they kind of jump a little bit too soon, and you know, you could say too soon. It felt like a little bit late maybe from DogChamp, but they almost bait Infamous into that fight that they simply could not take. Parker did just finish his BKB, so, you know, now the TA is ready, but this is a window for DogChamp to play in now.
A little bit of an advantage. They are going to be fighting into 3 BKBs, but 2 lives up on your CK means that Stonebank can afford to just sort of be very far forward on that front line as B9. They know he's here. The question is, do they really care enough to force the fight? Because, I don't know. Oscar and Alone are still farming up quite nicely. Meanwhile, to the north, Stonebank trying to go onto A. Not really the greatest play for him, but Parker is actually going to keep him here, and this is an entirely fantastic bait. If they could burn through the first life right now, they will do so. The secondary fight's going to get kind of awkward. Alone, though, has to TP away. He has the BKB, so he should get out, but that means his teammates are free to focus in on Stonebank a second time. They completely wipe out the CK, and DogChamp may have made a bit of a mistake here. They are on the retreat. Parker, though, doesn't want to let them go. Pushing forward. B9 taken down. Ryoya silenced up by Alone, who returns to the fight after healing up, and they lose everyone other than Speed, who was on the other side of the map at the time.
Yeah, it's just Stonebank thinking he's maybe a little bit too strong. The SP, we got to see the counter there. You just cannot do anything. And without a BKB, he completed his AC, but I feel like this is an item that he's sorely missed in that engagement. He could have just BKB TP'd out and he would have been fine. It took so long for him to fight, but that's also just Alone tanking 3 heroes, nearly killing the Shadow Demon, TPing out before any of the damage actually would kill him. Alone just body blocked anybody from being able to actually save that CK. And then with Speed in such an isolated part of the map, because he is still dealing with that split push, I feel like Infamous just picked him apart. And now, well, that window, gone. We have to wait now. We almost have to wait for Infamous to march up to your buildings before you're really going to find an easy opportunity. And in this downtime, so many big items queued up. Across the board, Infamous are looking for gold, and I feel like they honestly have the time to find those items. And boy, oh boy, then what do you do if you're DogChamp?
I mean, that really is the question. What do they do? What is the game plan for them right now? Because it's starting to get away from them a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like, honestly, they could come at this from the perspective of, we lost that last fight because Stonebank got caught by himself before we had the chance to make a move. If we go together, maybe we have a better shot, and they are going to try and go together here onto Parker, but there's that BKB. Parker's going to hold his ground, trying to force the fight. Stonebank, though, still in there with the Reality Rift, but it's not enough. Your TA is able to jump away to one of those other traps, and, well, the fight is not looking good here. They will finish off Michael, but Oscar got on the back line. Oscar, though, is not in a great spot. Even with his BKB active, he's just going to get sort of pulled around, and Stonebank will take him down. The spell immunity piercing on Reality Rift is really sort of hovering for this CK in a lot of circumstances. However, they needed to get Parker, and they weren't able to do so.
Yeah, and that's why the Ags is so annoying. It's why he prefers it sometimes over the Blink or the Force Staff. The Force Staff is still pretty great in this game, but then they fill the space, then it's like clockwork, then they move around the map yet again, and you see DogChamp, they give up. Even though they win that fight, they get that play going for them, they don't even take a pot shot at the tier 2 mid, because they know if they sit in that lane for too long, then it's their side T2s that are going to get pressured. It's where they give all the farm over to their opponents, and they already are going to give all their farm away just because of the nature of these heroes. But Parker's level 25. He's been hitting everything. He's got the 14 stacks of refraction now. I mean, this game is still just so hectic for DogChamp to play. They have so few opportunities that they can miss at this point.
Boy, oh boy. Remember when this guy had to catch up? Remember that? Like 20 minutes ago? We are well beyond that point. Parker is now an absolute monstrosity, and what's the highest level on the other side? Stonebank's only 22. That's...
Whoa.
Not, Parker? Okay. They're going to go for it. They got the charge coming in as well.
And no BKB. It's the Ag shard as well. Parker just bought it, and you do nothing. You can't do anything. There's no Dispel. It's not like you're going to buy a Manta on CK. It's where I think, in almost reverse fashion, because we're used to saying it for Infamous, DogChamp have overlapped. They've overstepped over some of these crucial items, and in doing so, they doesn't feel like they have a timing. There's no smoke play to be made. There's no power spike right now that all 5 players are hitting at the same time.
They are running into some trouble, and well, at this point, ET, if you're looking at this from the DogChamp perspective, what is the game plan here? Do they just try and go for a smoke once Stonebank's back up? Do they try and wait out maybe the next Roche attempt? It feels like they don't really have fantastic options at the moment.
Step 1 is get a gem. I think you need a gem on Ryoya. You need to clear out these lanes of the TA traps. Parker uncontestedly has had 10, 13 traps the entire time, And that's not allowed. You cannot do this on TA. You're farming everything already, but if you're able to constantly set up on these side lanes, the only place Parker hasn't been is really deep in the bottom lane, but that's Alone's territory, which he has also not been getting punished in. And I think that's where DogChamp are really dropping the ball here. They need to either take control away from the TA, or they need to be set up with 3 or 4 heroes. They can't just respond to the treants. They actually need to find the profit, and without doing so, they are just getting out-farmed everywhere. They are just not hitting any of these creeps. It's all reactionary. Speed finally has the gem on his hero, but with how immobile DogChamp are, you're going to see them walk across the map with 3 or 4 heroes. Infamous are just split up always at the same time, farming, spread out across the map. I mean, look at these heroes. There's not a hero within 2,000 range of each other right now, and they are fine.
Does a smoke play out from DogChamp, so they're going to try and push somewhere, I suppose, but they don't really have great options. And now Speed just TP'd himself into the top lane, and the tower still gets taken. So this feels like a play that's kind of already broken up, and they're splitting at the moment as well.
Yeah, and because Speed's the one with the gem and he stays smoked, as soon as these creep waves connect onto the Radiant buildings, you know your teammate, your opponents are doing something. They have to really spend so much time pushing out these waves that you don't see the sneakiness, you don't see the level. Really what we need is we need Bloody Nine by himself on one side of the map and then the rest of the lineup fiends gating in, but until that type of coordinated play happens, it feels like Infamous are just ratting right now. They're just playing everywhere all at the same time, and DogChamp are not squishing the rat. They're not finding their opportunities, and well, Stonebank, he's going to get his BKB in a second here. That's going to be huge for him. No longer has to be so concerned about these silences that have been so pesky until this point, but now I still am worried. We're not getting that control taken away. The entire map is TA territory still. There are 14 active traps right now. And this gem, even though it is necessary, it's picked up on speed. Nobody on DogChamp's side is fast enough to just clear this area out. Everybody just feels so slow.
Just giving up so much at the moment. Parker just finished off his next item, and what's that courier? Daedalus, I believe that he has just finished up. There's the courier. It's the Daedalus. So at this point, Parker's got enough damage to just clean out anyone. So I don't really know if your DogChamp how you survive this, as Michael just got spotted out in the middle lane, but not really able to do anything to punish him.
Yeah, quickly runs away, has the Shadow Blade, still very obnoxious. But they smoke here. Oh, and the hook missed. Well, would have been a reach regardless, right? Onto Oscar, he has the BKB, he would have just popped it, but if this is the only objective they can play around, they've got to do this. This is Roche. You know Infamous are going to fight you now, though. You just have to hope you don't get picked off before this happens in Speed. We'll be able to stop. He has the TP available to him if he needs to, but this fight is not as clean for Infamous as they want.
Oh, Alone's just getting completely taken down. He's trying to TP away. He's not going to make it. Michael and Alone both fall. They managed to get the Templar Assassin out of there, but now, I mean, Roche is back up. DogChamp are just going to be able to take this, and there's no buyback on that Nature's Prophet either, so Alone is out for the entirety of this attempt.
Yeah, the Reality Rift. Piercing spell immunity. It's just way too strong, and they did not start the fight with that 20 talent on the NP, and I think getting caught up there, it took so long to kill Speed. That was the first time we saw Infamous actually aggressing there, but that's also where the response from DogChamp was 5 heroes. It was everybody backing up Speed. They didn't let themselves get caught, but okay, we've got the Aegis, we've got the Shard, we've got a little bit more momentum now for DogChamp. Can we actually get ourselves onto an objective? How can we decisively now make our plays onto the map? That's the name of this new game.
And they gave the Shard over to Yaren, so he has both the Shard and the Scepter upgrade. So all of a sudden, you know, your Shadow Demon has an insane amount of utility, amount of offensive and defensive potential. I don't know if Infamous have something that can sort of stack up to that on the other side. They still have unbelievable amounts of damage, but can they get enough damage to kill these heroes off before something like the Cleanse can maybe get them back on their feet?
Yeah, and that's also where, finally, Tier 2 taken. Now we get to see them rob the outpost. Parker, he's in!
Okay. B9 is going to go down. Stonebank, though, trying to get through the refraction charges. He's able to do so, and they actually kill off Parker before he can get away. Oh, this is awkward. Parker's dead, and Oscar has to run. Just Not enough. That's with BKB. That's with maxed out refraction charges, and he still can't get himself out of there with the channel. So DogChamp feel like they have an opening, and I think they do. Unless the TA buys back, Infamous are going to be very hesitant to commit for a fight.
Yeah, and they glyph. Oscar is really putting himself at risk here, but this is Aegis. This is HP that they're okay with trading, and you weren't able to cut the creep wave on alone. They can only go for 1 Rax into tier 4s here. The creep cut is maybe a little bit too good from Infamous, but hey, it's a slippery slope that they're playing on here, and well, the glyph is gone, and there's no TA for 50 seconds. If they really want to, they could poke. The options are poke or pick off, and it looks like with Michael coming in, gotta be careful though. They can't just abandon each other.
Maintaining cohesion for now. Michael just has to turn around and try and do some damage because he knew he was going down. This is where things are going to get a little bit strange. Alone, though, is looking to make a jump. He wants to pick off Yarn here, but there's going to be the hookshot in from Bloody Nine. Alone's now in trouble. He has a BKB, but it's not going to matter. Stonebank's into the fight. And they kill him off before he even pops it. Alone's dead. He doesn't have buyback again, and well, Infamous are kind of... Well, they're kind of panicking a little bit here, and take a look at the net worth, the experience, the win probability. Things are very much starting to shift back towards, well, an even game, if not maybe in DogChamp's favor over the next couple of minutes as well.
Yeah, and you're seeing now that they're actually able to get vision down. They're actually able to plant their feet in the ground. The traps are dying. He only has about 6 out right now. He has to reestablish this without a blink tag. It's also very difficult, but speed. Okay, will be able to escape and can actually rejoin his team, and without Glyph, I feel like this is mid-Rax. I don't think you can defend this if you're Infamous. They're going to try and cut the waves again, most likely, but without the NP teleport, or without A in a cheeky part of the map, without Glyph, this is just free, or it feels very free. They still need to be very careful of the clear and the disable coming in from the SB, but yeah, 2 Racks, and now Infamous are the ones really struggling to find a fight as Parker. Nice dodge with the meld, taking out that Chaos Bolt, but this Aegis has been so effective from DogChamp.
It's still got 90 seconds left on the timer as well, so technically speaking, they could go back in for one last fight, or I was going to say maybe a push bot, but considering where the creep wave is, I don't quite think they could pull that one off. But another teamfight engagement could certainly be in the cards for them as... Let's get here. They just got themselves a Lincoln Sphere up on speed, so... They got a very tough front line to break through at this point, and Infamous... I mean, they have the damage still to break through it, it's just that the targeting priority has been a little bit off for them. Parker, multiple times now, has tried to quickly cut off someone like B9 or Yarn, and the little bit of a delay that can be sort of thrown in with the hook play, with the disruption, that is allowing a complete reset for DogChamp.
Yeah, it's also where before what they would do is they would lead with the Orchid and then they would be in, because there is no Dispel, there's no easy trap, and B9 with the high ground vision on the Michael, it's close, need one more crit. Okay, got 2 at the end there, total of 3 was enough, but again, pickoffs found everywhere, both supports die. And again, there's no Glyph for 2 minutes. If they want to, DogChamp could march down mid right now, and then at the very least look for buybacks or even more control. I guess going bottom is the safer play, but it's not like there's a T1 down here. You're not getting anything back for free. It feels like Infamous are now the ones that are completely scared. And
their net worth lead has been all but stripped away. They were up by, what, 13, 14K? They get hit 15,000 at one point for them, and now... We're pretty much even in terms of net worth. In terms of momentum, though, ET, it really does feel like DogChamp have so much more to work with, considering they're now trying to take control of the map, and Alone has shifted from playing everywhere to maximize farm to now playing everywhere just to try and buy time.
Yeah, and now, unfortunately, you face the reality of, well, when you were ahead, you were playing everywhere, you could play everywhere, and your opponents weren't killing you, so you were getting farmed. But at the end of the day, you don't need 2 rats. You have 2 players doing the exact same playstyle, and unfortunately, Alone is the one that has been getting nothing. He has not been progressing very much. Post this AC, he's been looking at items, but just unable to really finish off anything, and you can see it reflected in his levels. He cannot show. He has not been around for these creep waves dying. It's where, very starkly, Parker, who's level 28, has been getting all of that farm. And it's where, unfortunately, the NP is becoming less and less of a factor. He's just another body to get taken down by Stonebank at this point. And looking over at Stonebank, able to slot his Echo Saber for a Scotty next. I mean, every item this man is getting is just ruining Infamous.
Hit 25, he got the Chaos Strike chance upgrade, so got the crit and the lifesteal coming out that little bit more frequently, and Stonebank doesn't really feel like he needs to be afraid of anything. Just jumps forward, pops the Lincolns onto Michael. Oscar rather. Hookshot comes in from the Clockwork, and that's going to force out some sort of response. Infamous popping a couple of BKBs. They want at least one kill. And ET, they're going to get it, but it's only Bloody 9 that they really take down. He's dead for a minute, but really sure if that's enough. If DogChamp want to go back in, it feels like they can.
Yeah, and the arena was used. The map starts to close down. They want to move out of the base, though, but Infamous know that if they show too many heroes on the side lanes, it really can only be Trees at this point, or Parker being very quick, because it is just a 10-second cooldown, but at the same time, is he about to buy this out? Okay, Parker has no buyback. He went for the Agi-Blink instead because he feels like he's lacking in damage, but it's been so long since we've seen an Infamous smoke here. And one without the SP to chain up a stun as well, so they need to do everything here in a single spear stun, and they're looking for a Ryoya, but he can react.
Spear comes out, but it's too late. They might still get the kill, though, because Ryoya really didn't have any backup coming. Nobody was there to immediately help him out, so we'll still find the kill. That's going to make a little bit of space now for Infamous, as you see them kind of pushing out mid a bit. But don't know really what else they can do, and someone should probably come back to push out this bottom lane a little bit. That's going to be Michael's.
Yeah, and that's where, honestly, if you're DogChamp, it's time to look for buybacks from your opponents. It's time to look for kills. Infamous can deal with megas. I don't feel as if we're going to see DogChamp just run at that bottom racks as we maybe would have seen from a different team. The heroes might just be a little too adept at dealing with it, and they all scale pretty well. So when it comes to that ultra late game situation, I feel like Infamous could take us there, but I think right now this is going to be DogChamp's best chance. As soon as the Viper is up, whether or not they wait for the entire Roche respawn or they do just look for another pickoff, any hero that dies right now could be massive. Unfortunately, Parker was able to farm up his buyback almost. He's still maybe 300 gold away, but that's a very expensive buyback that you're going to be sitting on for the tier. That's what, 3.7k gold buyback? We're getting to that stage, and that stage where these ultra carries, they need to farm, they need to continuously farm so much of the map. We're not seeing that explosive growth really from anybody else on Infamous.
It's just kind of Parker soaking up everything possible and alone, and Oscar kind of falling behind, but well, see how this plays out. We've got about a minute left for the next Roche spawn, just a couple seconds past that minute mark, so that could very well be the next sort of major objective, the next thing that these two teams sort of start gravitating towards. While that's happening alone, okay. Playing the rat game a little bit, got the tier 3 tower down. Backdoor's going to kick in before he can do too much to the ranged racks, but you get that play for free at least, so Lone is still looking for openings.
Yeah, and it still works. You still see him not get too scared. He's got the Gleipnir as well, so he does have maybe a little bit more control that he was lacking before, but at the same time, Roche is going to respawn. It's going to be a question of whether or not Infamous posed too much of a threat there. They're going to be able to see it maybe, as Yard actually puts the illusions to work, dewarding in that pit very safely. But speaking of Yarn, Octarine Core, about to be level 25. His hero's so monstrous once you get to this stage, and suddenly I wonder what we're going to see. Both are great choices. I mean, if he gets the charges of the disruption, how many stone banks can we get?
Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong either way. As Michael, okay, very aggressive push in. There's going to be the arena. The spear only connecting on a B9, but that does mean they can take him down quickly. Do they have the damage, though, to get through the CK? He's going to pop the Phantasm, turning around. Oscar in some trouble, dropping low. Bulwark is actually keeping him alive for quite a bit, but eventually he does get taken down, and this is just getting into too tough of a fight. Infamous are going to get rolled over, and they bailed out with their main cores once they realized things weren't going their way, but you see, that's not a great sign. That's a fight that you initiated, and you had to leave and run with Parker and Alone before the end of it.
Yeah, you can't stick around. The BKBs are too low. Stonebank is too big. That was with both Wraith packs down, by the way. It was fun seeing the double pulls, but okay, everybody's buying back. Roche is super low. It's a refresher shard. This is kind of difficult to pick up, but okay, Parker, he's got the supports. We need help right now.
Yep. They're going to try to get onto Ryoya. They are dropping him low. No one's dealing with Parker. They take him down. Stonebank gets hit by the Nether Strike, so they're actually just going to isolate him entirely. They trap him up inside the Sprout, and they get the kill.
Oh
What a
no.
haphazard initiation into that fight if you're Infamous, but who cares? It works to perfection. And just like that, some of these concerns get stripped away. Infamous have some momentum back in their hands.
It just completely flips. It all comes from actually the supports on DogChamp's side not having buyback. They don't have the gold simply, and we have that same issue on Infamous where supports are just maybe stuck waiting for everybody else to farm, but in doing so, Infamous actually have the leg up. They were a little bit more preemptive and they were a little bit more ready for that fight, and because they can't flood buybacks, well, is this their opportunity? They've got buybacks on cores, but now your CK is forced into the situation. Oh no.
Oh, Stonebank. Yeah, that's a little awkward. He goes straight in onto the front line, but he needs backup. The backup, though, is trapped in the arena. Stonebank, though, doing a pretty solid job of just standing up against this. He is not dropping low. He's now going to take the 1v1 against Parker. Parker, though, he does have the Aegis, so even if they kill him off once, they'd have to deal with him a second time. But at this point, they're not even getting through him once. The Gleipnir comes in. They're going to root Stonebank up. They're going to push their way forward into the fight. Good disarm, though, onto the Templar Assassin. Speed trying to buy some time, but there's going to be the Sprout. They keep Stonebank locked in place. They can't actually finish him off, but they at least push everyone back. As Michael and Oscar give their lives, but they're not the damage dealers. Parker and Alone are, but they don't want to stick around much longer. They need to try and bail out, and it looks like they will make it away. Hookshot won't hit. Speed, though, actually does lock down Alone. Stonebank coming over. Actually, yeah, they should just have this kill. Alone really can't do anything. He's rooted up and finished off, so it's a bit of an awkward play. And A, did he not? He didn't have a TP that whole time. That's that's unfortunate. I was wondering why he was sort of sticking around there, but he had no choice.
And now yeah, it's time. No buybacks. We might see actually the rat for rat play if they find Alone. That would be huge, but no. Yarn just barely misses, but hey, it's a 2v5 right now. A 2v5 where I feel as if the TA is going to need to throw his body away here. At least they're trying to keep the waves out, and Parker is being obnoxious. If they get this mid wave here, we're going to have a huge issue for DogChamp. This is their victory. This is their easy win, even though they're going into Glyph here, but they're getting closed off. They're simply too slow.
Where that hookshot was going from Bloody Nine, but it's not going to connect onto anyone, and yeah, this isn't going to go as quickly as they need it to. They're losing so much time. Alone TP'd himself bot now, but again, he hit 25, so he has that removal of the teleport cooldown. He can just be everywhere he needs to be, and DogChamp are at least walking this one forward as best as they can, but there's going to be the Wrath of Nature, so still don't really have a creep wave. Parker, yeah, that's not quite doable for him. He will fall back, but again, buying time. Spirit Breaker's up now. You've got 15 seconds or so for Oscar, and your DogChamp, I don't know. Do you still try to force this? It's going to be rough, but they feel like this might be their opportunity to end the game if they can win this next fight. Just a matter of whether they can do so. It would be nice to get the TA to start. They're going to pull her into the fight. BKB not being used on the first life, though, so Parker is going to let himself go down here, but where's the reinforcements? They need to bring everyone else over because the TA is just dead again. There's a buyback now available. And, okay, the buyback is going to come in, but now they have to make the move. They can't afford to wait any longer. There's going to be the arena into the spear stun. It locks down Speed. Parker in on the back line. They're looking to take down really anybody they can right now. They do get Speed, but they need to be able to focus their attention onto the other heroes. Yarn is going to fall as well. Stonebank getting sort of leashed up inside the Sprout. He's going to get bashed a couple of times as well, but he is still standing. And Infamous, I just don't think they have enough for this. The Tier 4s are now going to come under attack. Tier 4s taken down. Ancient exposed. And Infamous, you don't have time to wait. The Glyph is going to come through, but you have to go in now. You need to be able to deal with these opposing heroes, but they still can't kill Stonebank. B9 in with the hookshot, creating a distraction. He is going to pay for it, but if his teammates can continue to go after the Ancient, it's not going to matter. Stonebank, okay, just hold his ground. He's going to take down A. Now, though, he is sort of getting pulled into this fight, but they're going after the Templar Assassin. TA dropping low. Where's the backup? There's no one here to help him. The GG is called, and oh my goodness, DogChamp. They had to work their asses off for that one, ET, but they take the opening game.
No, a painful win, honestly. That was probably the most obnoxious game of Dota they've played this year, but they keep their heads in the game. They keep focused. It felt like for a lot of those plays, maybe come a little bit slower and a little bit harder to tell from a bird's eye view, but Stonebank, Stonebank, Stonebank. did everything they needed. He was the hero. He was the one finding these pickups. He was the one chaining up these kills off of Bloody Nine's hook shot. Without him in this crucial role, the draft does not work. Without Stonebank performing in this way, the game does not happen. And sure, you could say Infamous, they let go of their lead. They let go of the game, really, just with 2 or 3 picks that they gave over to the DogChamp side. It really felt that second Aegis was a huge momentum shift. But then, at the end of the day, DogChamp could have lost just as easily. If Stonebank dies bottom, the game is over. That is it. They don't get that re-engage. They don't get the fight where they clean up alone Michael and A. That is GG right there. But because of, what was it, just a halberd from Speed? Speed being the hero, saving the game. If Stonebank dies there, Infamous win. Because of Speed, they don't win. They go for that longer fight. They go later on in. Parker with the hero plays keeps the creep wave out for so long. It ends up not being enough. They still can't kill Stonebank. It's just incredible stuff from DogChamp to actually win, really, by out executing their opponents here. Just an absurd game one.
And going back to something that you said in the draft, you sort of hit the nail on the head at the time. Which version of Infamous are we going to see? Unfortunately, ET, it's the one that we are a little more familiar with in the wrong sense. The squad that plays so well for the first half or 2/3 of the game and then has difficulties closing it out. So, I mean, they were in a rough situation no matter what. They were sort of forced into it with Parker having to play from behind for a little bit, but they still seem to be missing that instinct to hit that window in the late game to really sort of slam the door in DogChamp's face.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. And of course, at the end of the day, playing versus the CK and picking the TA into the CK, all it takes is a chaos bolt. All it takes is getting yourself found out. It's amazing to me that at the beginning of this game, we had all of that lane shenanigans and that setup, which was the name of the game for such a long time there. But then DogChamp wait for that, what felt like 10-minute window where they just do nothing and it feels like they're getting worked by their opponents. But then through utilization of the buybacks and what feels like a massive throw and overextension from Infamous, they're somehow able to pull it off. I can't imagine what we're going to see in game 2 here. I'm sure both teams are exhausted after that game.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Maybe not the longest game in the world, but in terms of the ups and downs that it took, it was an emotional roller coaster there. Those teams got to be feeling a little bit tired, but they do have at least one more game left to play here. We are going to be moving into game 2 in a little bit. Before we do so, however, it is everyone's favorite time of the broadcast. Time for some ads. Ads in particular from HyperX, who are very kind and very gracious to sponsor this event and have entrusted ET and I to read out their ad message, which was probably a mistake from them, but it's too late to really back out now. So we are into it. Pro Series 11 is sponsored by HyperX and the new Cloud Alpha wireless headset, which, again, ET and I are wearing right now. Old heads here. So, as we've mentioned repeatedly, but we will mention again, these things, they look good, they sound good, they feel good, and they've got themselves that 300-hour battery life. Honestly, I still haven't charged it since I got it. So this thing has been...
It's still 80%. It tells me every day it's 80%. Tomorrow it will be 80%. The tournament will be over and it's still 80%.
I'm going to get
waiting.
lowered into my grave and it will read 80% at this point. I feel like these things are just magic because battery level never goes down, man. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's good. It's crazy.